going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the English Prescription, brought to you by Headwaters Adventure Company. Guys, thanks for joining tonight. Tonight we have a guest that's no stranger to the show. We'll get into that here in a second, but it's the beardless Santa Claus. How you doing, buddy?
Good. How are you guys? Sorry I've missed the last couple weeks. Been freaking busy, but glad to be back.
Heck yeah, welcome back. And then we've got the skinny Santa Claus. What's up, buddy?
Morning. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. How you doing, Johnny?
Doing well.
How's life in Johnny's world? Heck yeah. Ripping any lifts?
I'm going fishing to the Delta tomorrow on the boat.
Nice.
Been doing a lot of PT.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Getting better.
Sore. I'm sore.
Heck yeah. Sore's good.
Sore.
Sore is good. Yeah, guys.
Play golf in the morning.
Ooh, little golf.
Yeah.
That's good.
6 a.m. at a golf course before it gets light out.
Before it gets too hot,
Down there in the dark. Yeah.
Doing some pond fishing out there too, huh?
No, I don't. I just try to hit the ball. My game, this is how weak I am. I would hit a 7-iron like 150 yards. And now I could hit a 5-iron 150 yards. So that's how much muscle I've lost. Yeah, plus my game sucks really bad. I mean, really bad.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is you got to try to carry that travel rod that collapses up a little wacky on there.
I have a couple of those.
Heck yeah.
I can just bring those and walk to the ponds and fish the ponds, but there are only little small ones in there. Probably tomorrow.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let's see, a little bit of Headwaters. They got their demo sales going on. So
Old Town. If you want an Old Town,
Dude.
they got great deals on them.
All I know is if you want a kayak, you need to call.
Yeah. Right now's the time to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You want some tackle? Hookedforlife.com. Hooked to 44, all capitals. Like that right there.
James is giving away his tackle.
I don't understand.
What's that?
Is that your wife talking to you? Your wife's talking to you. Your wife's saying she doesn't understand, dude.
You're making us jealous, man.
Siri, I don't know why she woke up.
You cheating on me or what?
Man.
Anyway, guys, free shipping over 50, super fast shipping. Support Jay. He does a lot for us. And whether you guys know it or not,
Give him a call.
Give him a call, yeah. And without further ado, we got this guy here who wants to talk to us. Joey, what's up, buddy?
How's it going, guys?
What is up, Joey?
He's got a new background.
Be back on.
To move into the garage now, huh?
I gotta get out of the house. I work from there all day, so gotta be in the garage. Shake it up a little bit.
Must be
Hey,
nice.
congratulations this weekend. Good job this weekend.
Yeah. Way to figure them out, man.
We're gonna
make it today, so I was gonna have Joey and Pooh on anyway, but we got Joey. We got a second best this weekend.
Yeah,
he's usually up there at the
guy
top.
you wanted second. No,
Hey.
Joey, we're gonna pump him so bad he's gonna hurt from head to toe.
Yep. You know what, guys? I need you guys that are out there fishing against Joey to step up your game so you have somebody new on the show.
Hey, I'm telling everyone, just
right?
these baits, just get out there and start throwing them around.
I know, dude. The first time we had you on, you gave him all the juice. I'm like, this guy is confident as can be in that because he just gave everybody every bit a little bit
Dude.
on that.
Yeah, sure. But I still use the same things too.
Yep. He said, "I dare you to beat me."
Yeah. So Joey, let's start off with the rod and the line size. And if you use a braid to fluoro or whatever, let's talk about that.
Yeah, finding his rod.
So I use it's back there. I use a I use 2 rods, and they're Daiwas. They're Daiwa Steez rods. One's a 6.5 and one's a 6.1. The 6.5 is like my power fishing medium light, and then my 6.1 is my finesse medium light. That 6.4, it bends almost all the way down to the handle, and it's
super
I
fast
use
tip.
oh, it's
Super
not even
fast.
fast.
Or has a
It's more like
fast tip.
like a
Extreme
moderate.
moderate and very moderate.
Moderate.
So when
okay.
if you can get, so I use 20-pound braid to 12-pound fluoro for my primary, and I
About
call
how
my
far
heavy.
can you? How
cast.
far do you cast that with 1/8 ounce in the?
If I really want to get it out there, I can get to 80 feet, but with a good cast, like with some power behind it, I'm getting like 65 feet.
Okay.
And that's all you really need, because I see them on live scope at about 85, and by the time I stop the trolling motor and I'm sliding into them, they're at about 60, and I can hit them at 60.
Okay.
But I use that.
And for those that don't know, we're talking about mid strolling.
Yeah,
So,
mid strolling is
yeah.
when you use a 1/8. You basically use like a swim bait hook, usually a ball head, 90-degree line tie that goes straight up. And you put a
90-degree
fluke.
line tie is key.
Yeah, it's
Definitely
key.
key to this presentation for sure.
You want some kind of fluke style bait. I use Raid range rollers and then Sakamata shads. You can use like a Zoom Super Fluke, just something to put on that jig head, and then when you throw it out there and you keep them above the fish, and you bring it in and you twitch that rod, and that bait is just wobbling and it's going in a straight line, and they come up and they hit it. So that's mid-strolling. That's like the basic.
Have you thrown the new Zoom Wing Fluke yet? Have you gotten your hands on any of those yet, or no?
I haven't.
Yeah.
I suspect that they're like the
They're
Sakamatas.
identical.
They're really heavy in
They're-
salt,
Okay.
but I suspect the Zooms are lighter. I haven't seen them though.
Yeah, they look identical to Stock Motion.
Yeah, they're like 1 for 1.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure
So now,
the chemistry behind it's
So
a little
now-
different.
let's just say, so you said you throw it out and you reel it in just a little bit above the fish. Do you ever let the bait
Has to
like
be
drop to the fish, and then
Yeah.
once the fish start coming up, like lift up and start reeling in fast, so they kind of like have to chase it, or you ever let it drop to
Yeah,
the
so
bottom, or you just
if they're
kind of
20 feet
figure-
down, I'll cast it out there. I'll let it fall maybe 10 to 12 feet, right to where they start to notice it, and then I'll stop it and make it go parallel. I don't ever let it drop after that. If you let it drop at any point, they become disinterested in it. So you got to keep that straight line, but I let it drop to them about halfway there, and I start working it back. And so usually the committed ones will hit it right away. The ones that follow it, they usually don't hit it, but there's still a chance. So you just keep it going. But
They
yeah,
just
if
seem
it's
to
on-
follow on
you
me.
Yeah.
You ever go
Say again?
past the fish? You ever let it drop past the fish?
Yeah, going past is like sometimes you do it just so you're for sure gonna hit them, because if you hit them forward, they're usually not gonna travel to get it. So you want to hit them on top, or at the very least put it behind them so that you get it on top of them. Like one of those two. You never want to put it in front.
Do you ever let it drop through to the bottom?
No, never. Your bite percentage goes so low when it goes below them. They almost never feed down when it comes to mid-stroll. At least that's what I found.
Okay.
Like if I could tell
And then,
someone to like one adjustment to like increase their bite percentage, is never put it below them, ever.
So let's back up a minute. You took second place at Tulloch this past weekend. What were the conditions like out there?
So the field,
Fall.
the bite was tough. It was tough for everyone, and I spent the first hour fishing everything, and so I look at my screen almost like all the time, and I could see that the bass were everywhere. They were in 5 feet of water, they're in 10, they're in 20, they were on grass, they were on rock, but they would only nose up to the bait, so they never bit. So I knew they were inactive right away, but there's bass everywhere. But the ones that were biting, they were like ferociously attacking those bait balls out in the middle of the lake. And once I found that out, I just spent my whole day chasing those bait balls, looking for those balls that had fish just plowing through them and trying to blow up those balls.
So you're talking middle of the lake. So were you middle of pockets, middle of main lake? Were you
Main
having
lake
to
primarily. Yeah, like main lake.
dodge
Like,
dodge all the boat traffic?
oh yeah, no, all day it was jet skis and boats just going around me. Like they were, I was nosed up right next to them. You had to be
Yeah.
really careful. I had to like get on that NK 300 a few times and get out of the way.
Oh, you put a 300
Yeah,
on your
it's-
boat finally?
Yeah,
That lake's
recently.
vicious through the summer all the way into the fall, and then after that, it's a perfect lake to go fish.
Yeah, it was fun. I caught a
Yeah.
lot of fish. I went through 5 bags of Sakamata shads, and there's like, I don't know, 7 or 8 a pack. So it was at least, 35 bites, something like that, 40 bites.
So what you're saying is you spent your winnings on the baits to use to win it?
So that's probably $60 worth of flukes right there.
Yeah, no kidding. No.
He didn't break
You
any
ever
off,
made
but
them?
he did lose.
That's probably $60 worth of flukes.
Do you ever go through and mend them?
A what?
Yes.
Use mended on them after you're done? Like
I've
salvage
tried.
them?
I've
Dude,
tried
it
to
works.
revive
It
them.
works good.
I haven't found one that works. Like
Dude,
it
it's
makes
great.
it too thick.
I don't know, the regular mended in a little brush bottle. I've gotten, I think I've probably mended a couple of mine at least like 3 or 4 times before I actually found some more.
I've got a bag right here. Look. I've got a bag of Sakamatas, old ones,
Yeah.
and I want to revive them because they're so expensive. But I haven't found a solution to fill those cracks.
Do that little brush, the little bottle's not yet big. Little brush in there, just open it up a little bit, put it in the crack, and just kind of hold it back together and set it down.
I'll have to try it.
And dude, I mean, I've used the same bait like 4 times, and then I finally hit a point to where it look a little shady after that,
Yeah, because they're only good for one bite, and then they're kind of
They're
useless
junky,
after
yeah.
that.
For sure.
But going back to your
Oh,
question, John, that
frustrating.
rod, it's so light, and I use such heavy line on that light rod that if you can really get it in them and set the hook hard and put your dragon tight, I use a 3/0 hook. Once it's in there, that like medium light 6-foot rod, they're never coming off. It has so much bend, and on 20-pound braid, like I didn't lose a single fish. So, but you have to really jam it into them.
So in search of these fish, and you're out in the middle of the lake, you said you put it to 150 feet in front of you. That was an article I wrote. Anyways,
Yeah.
So and then you're like cruising around real fast, and you see a ball of bait, and you don't see any fish in it. Do you keep looking at that ball of bait just because sometimes, those fish do hide in that bait, and you don't see
Yeah,
them?
like it's an angle thing.
Yeah. Do you keep like an eye on it for a little bit? Like, okay, we'll go to the next one. But when you did find the fish, what did it look like?
Yeah, so what I did was I basically put that trolling motor on like 3.5 miles an hour, and I've got the marine pole, and I'd set my live scope to 150 feet, and that's my search mode. I'm never going to cast with it set to 150. But I set it to 150 so I could sweep with that marine live scope pole and go on high and take a look at those bait balls. And when I find one, I'll have it locked on it, and I'll just keep going straight. So I'll look at it the whole time, and I'll get that whole side. I'll get a few angles on it to see if there's bass on it. So by the time that I pass it, I know if there's bass in it, or at least I can make an educated guess. And if they're not there, I just keep going straight. I don't even stop the motor. But if something looks a little suspicious, I'll kill the motor, and I'll kind of let them play around and move, and then I'll scan around it and see it if they're there. But when I'm ready to cast, I'll draw it back to 100, and then I'll mess with them.
And then what is the fish? I mean, explain to everybody when you do see the fish, what it looks like compared to the bait or compared to anything else.
Yeah, so sometimes you don't even have to see the bass. Like bait balls, I forget who said this. I saw it in a video like on YouTube once. But they say that high and tight is right. So what that means is when the bait is really high in the water column and they're balled up like a true ball, that means they're being pursued. So based on the shape of the shad or whatever bait fish you're looking at, you can tell if they're being pursued. So if they're high and they're in a ball formation, there's likely at least one bass somewhere in that group of fish. And then sometimes if you see like almost like a moon shape, that means there's a bass, like a crescent. That usually means there's a bass here,
Right.
even if you can't see it.
Get right there.
But if they're scattered and they're kind of just like hanging out, there's not likely to be a bass in that group. So you can kind of tell on the shape of the bait fish if there's bass around.
James, your dog wants something from you.
Oh, she's just like, what are you doing? Like, hey, why
Where's my
aren't you paying
food?
attention to me? Yeah, she already ate.
Hey, where's my food?
She's.
I'm thirsty. I want to go outside.
They
Hey, you
were
know how to
just-
mess
yeah,
with the dog? You know how to mess with the dog?
How's
Listen to
that?
this. Food, treat, walk, car, ride. Say
Yeah.
that to them. Do what they do. Anyways, I'm getting off.
I've got a little
off
lab too.
topic.
He's out. My girlfriend and my dog are camping right now, so I miss my dog. It's usually right here.
Yep. There's
Yeah.
this one. This is the family dog.
So how many, like, let's see, not how many balls of bait did you have to look through, and how many miles do you think you went during the 2 days?
Oh man. Well, a lot of it was in a circle, so I don't really have a way to tell like how many miles. I covered a lot of the lake though, but I found 2 areas that were really, really good. But I would say maybe every 10 to 15 bait balls had 2 to 3 bass. The schools of bass weren't very big. It was packs of 2 or 3, and every 10 to 15 bait balls had a group chasing them. So you had to sift through a lot of bait and really look at them to see where they were. And that meant you had to cover a lot of water. I'd say like once every 30 to 40 minutes, I'd find one that had a few bass on it, and they were only good for a few casts. And then they smartened
Right.
up and they were like, I want the real thing. It's right here. And they wouldn't bite your bait.
And then
There was one trick though. I learned that if I made a few casts and they became disinterested, I could sit there, not make a cast, and watch them on live scope. And when those fish, they would go underneath the bait ball and they'd come up and they'd blow them up and scatter them out. And when that happened, if you put your bait in the fray where the chaos was happening, when they came up and blew everything up, they were more likely to hit your bait because like there was so much commotion, they couldn't really get a good look at it.
Yeah.
So that's like a trick you can do if they turned off.
So Ariel asked, what are the factors you consider when you see something worth casting at? Are you targeting single fish or wolf packs? How long do you spend on fish before moving on?
Most of the time, if it's a single fish, it's just one cast. I always feel like that follow-up cast is almost a waste of time. It just depends on how they react. Like if it comes up and it looks at it and is interested, it follows it back to the boat, I might make a second cast at it. But if it just looks at it and never comes up to the bait, I'll leave it alone. I'll keep going. I don't care if that fish is really big. So one cast for a single fish. If it's a group of fish, I'll make 2 or 3 casts because the closer those fish are to each other, the more they're going to compete over it. Like I love when there's like a fish here and a fish here. If I put the bait here, they're both going to fight over it. That's like an easy scenario where you're most likely to get bit. But a single fish, just one cast.
One thing I've realized talking to quite a few different guys that do very well is they're really rapid. They'll make a cast. That fish isn't interested. They're off to the next one, making another cast. Like they're not sitting on a fish or sitting on a school. Might sit on a bigger school a little bit longer, but if you're a single fish, there are multiple casts at different fish in the area. And if they're not biting or interested, they're off and on their way. They're not wasting their time with, fish looks good, I got to make it bite. No, it's bam, 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 and you keep moving on. So
were all the fish around bait, or did you find fish that were not around bait, but yet they were grouped up in a school?
There were some odd ones that were off roaming by themselves. And I noticed it was mainly smallmouth that would do this. They'd be off on their own and they were moving fast. So you had to like really hit them and like be accurate with it, but they'd come right up and they smack that bait. But most of the largemouth that were roaming and they weren't bait related, they weren't interested. It seemed like almost all of them were bait related. I did notice that like the rest of the field seemed to struggle, and I saw a lot of people fishing from shore. I did notice that when the bait would get pushed up to shore, it would draw those bass out for a time, and then those bass would go
Right.
back to like the dock or the grass, but it would activate that area. But I didn't see the bait really getting pushed on to shore very often. They were way out there, and I covered a lot of water on the lake. But I think when people got bit, it was likely because there was bait in the area, and
Getting bait
I know that was
pushed to the
something
bait.
that, yep. And I think Keith mentioned something about who got third place.
Yeah.
He mentioned something about bait-related fish too. So I think that was the,
Yeah, he
the
saw
main
him
factor.
busting and caught him busting and stayed in that area and kind of worked him over. Yeah.
Yep.
On a
What
kite.
what size head were you? Jig head were you using?
1/8.
1/8. Now, when do you go heavier? When do you go lighter? What's your determining factor with that? I know it's fish's behavior, depth, or what.
I almost never go heavier. They've got to be in like 45 feet for me to go heavier. The way I think of it is you want to go with the lightest weight you can possibly go while still being efficient enough to get down to them in a timely manner. So pick the lightest weight you can get away with. For me, I have the most luck with the 1/8 because I can get down somewhat fast, and then it almost hovers because it's so light, and they like that a little bit more.
Are you throwing the heavy weighted ones or the non on the 1/8 ounce?
The nons. Yeah, so it's a slow fall.
Yeah.
And then
Those same
I'll go
color,
lighter
pretty
than
much
1/8.
same color both days, or was it one bait was one, and you ran out of that pack, and you went to another one?
I ran out of all my favorite colors, man. I ran out of there's a shad one. This was my favorite. It was this one. These
What
are hard to
number is
get
that?
too.
What number?
103.
I might
So
have
this is
some
my
of those.
favorite. It took me like 6 months to get these, so I bought like 10 packs of them. But other than that, this was my backup when I ran out of those. But in the larger size, it's like a clear. And then I
Is
started
that
getting
like the
into some,
sexy shad one with the chartreuse line, or no?
no chartreuse. It has chartreuse glitter.
That's right.
Yeah, that's the one I do the best on right there.
Yeah,
I've
these are
done
good.
the best one. Yeah.
And then I got into some weird colors because I ran out of my 5 inches. So
Do you feel they all work?
I think the shad color ones work better. I did hook a few bait fish on my jig head, and they were that shad color. It was like a true silver blackback with a dot on them. So I think you had to match the hatch.
Were you throwing strictly 5, or did you go to 3, 4, or 6s, or?
I tried to go down to 3s. They didn't want it though. I think. So Max said something in the gamblers group chat, and he was spot on. The bigger fish were related to the larger groups of bait fish, because I noticed like in the middle of the lake where it kind of forks, like the fours come together, the 4 creeks or 3 creeks. There was 2-inch bait balls, bait over there, but there was a few arms that had 4-inch bait. And you could see it on live scope, the difference in the bait. And those areas had the 19 inchers that I filled my limits with. So it was definitely like bigger bait. It was bigger fish.
Oh, we lost Johnny. Let's see. What would you consider a perfect cast? Are you leading them right on their nose, coming from behind, under, etc.? He kind of talked about that, Ariel. So you want to either cast past them or right on top of them, right?
I would say
never let it
like-
go underneath them.
like no one's so good where you're always going to hit them on the head. So
Yeah.
always cast past them. Cast past them 10 feet because it's probably going to fall parallel or towards you a little bit. You're probably going to lose 5 feet on the drop coming towards you. So cast 10 feet past them. Always keep it above their head. And when they're tracking it, never break like a parallel line. And I can't tell you like how important it is for if that bait dips a little bit as it's tracking straight, you're going to lose, that fish is going to lose interest. And it's not like that for any other bait. They'll follow a worm down the bottom and eat it. They'll follow a jig off the bottom and eat it. I almost never see that happen with the mid-stroll.
I very rarely do if I get underneath them. Like a lot of times, sometimes it's weird, dude. It depends upon the bait too. I've had fish fall all the way to the boat, and I'm like right there, and then I'll just click the bail open and I'll follow it down. I'll like pop it once, and sometimes they hit it, sometimes they don't. It's kind
Yeah.
of hit and miss. Like it's more so like a 2.8 on like a little guppy head or something like that. I've had success doing that.
Yeah, and I've had it. There's always exceptions to the rule too. I just feel like as a general rule, your bite percentage
Yeah.
goes down when that happens.
That's typically if they're following me all the way to the boat and they're
Yeah.
getting right there, or it's like last ditch effort. Why not? They followed me all the way here. Let's just see what happens, type of thing.
And I had one like that. I had one where I casted 10 feet to my left because what the hell, and it was like a 17-inch fish.
Yeah.
So I mean that doesn't mean don't make the cast, but don't make it all the time.
Yep. Rule of thumb: keep it parallel on that same plane, about halfway down to the depth of the fish, and start shaking.
Yep. I like to keep it like a good distance above their head.
Yeah.
But if they come up and they're just nosing up to it and they're not biting it, another trick you can do is go to a heavier weight. And if you're accurate, drop it right on their head as fast as possible. And when they look up, then track it straight. But put it right here and then move it away from them.
Do you ever, if they're following it and you're shaking it, do you ever give it a couple burn, like try to burn it away from them? No.
Almost never. I feel like there's like, you could make that work. I've never made it work.
Yeah.
But I found that like turns them off more than gets a reaction out of them. But I feel like I'm experimenting with that right now, actually. I'm trying to figure out a way because I feel like there's a bait out there that will get them to do that.
And there's times where I haven't caught them doing it yet, but they definitely, if you speed it up, if they're not going to hit it anyway, so you're burning it in to make that next cast. Like there's times where
And
they
they'll
come on,
chase
they'll
it,
come
yeah.
on hot, like real hot. You kill it and you shake it, and they're like whatever.
Yeah.
Off this
And that's exactly what makes me think that there's a way to do it. I just don't know how to do it, but I know exactly what you're talking about. It makes me think that it'll work, but I haven't found a bait for it.
Because when you're watching them and you're like, all right, they're not going to hit it. I'm not going to waste, the next 30 seconds or whatever it is to bring this cast all the way back to the boat. She's going to burn it and fire at another fish. Yeah, there's got to be something to get them to go. I agree. When you find out, you gotta let me know.
There's something on the table back there. I won't show it, but it does that. But I haven't gone out to really try it yet.
I got you.
Are you still using the roller heads, or are you just straight up using a ball heads?
I use the roller heads for the 6-1 rod. Less when I go down to 3-inch. Then I always use the roller heads for the finesse one.
So the 5-inch, you're using a regular ball head?
Yeah, I'm using a Kitech tungsten 1/8 ounce.
Okay, cool. Because I've got some of I like a heavier weight personally. I don't know why. I usually go like a 3/16 or a quarter. I do use an 1/8, but I don't know. Anyway, but
yeah,
like
but no, it works.
rollers,
Like it's more efficient. Like the heavier the weight, like you're gonna be able to cover more water and get down to the fish faster. So like maybe I have a higher bite percentage, but you're gonna be able to make more casts at fish if you're using a heavier weight than me.
and it seems to be it's what I'm confident in, right? Like I said last week, right? Go to your confidence. If you're confident in that, then why? I mean, I'm still experiment like fun fishing days, but I've found out like the 5-inch. I typically throw the 5s. I don't throw the 4s a whole lot. Like a regular owner round ball head is what works for me. Like I can't get bit on that 3/16 range roller with the sock mounted shad to save my life. And
it requires a lot of patience, and I feel like it requires the right rod, or like you have to be really patient. Like I want to just like move my rod a lot.
Yeah.
But if you don't have the right tip for it, that small bait, you're going to move that everywhere, and you don't want that. You want it stationary and rolling. So when I throw that smaller owner range roller, it's a really light 6-1 rod with a tip that's like super super finessey. So when I'm doing this, it's not really moving the bait that much.
Okay.
So that's the trick with that. But yeah, throw what you're confident in.
You ever considered doing a YouTube channel?
I've thought about it. I like talking about this stuff, but I used to have a paintball YouTube channel, and I actually had some success creating paintball content. But for me, it took the actual playing paintball, the joy of it, a little bit away from me. So I don't know if that would happen with my fishing, but I'm curious. I want to start a YouTube channel and share content. I'm just not sure if it's going to take away from the actual fishing experience.
It's just like, dude, my last video I just realized was like 5 months ago. It was our practice days at 10 Killer. Like I never got my tournament days out. Like
Yeah.
just with I mean, two little kids and working, 60+ hours a week and trying to still fish on the weekends here and there. It's like, dude, like
I know.
I have a ton of content saved up, but I just don't have time to put it out.
Yeah, and that's a whole nother thing too. Is like full-time job. Like, where do you find the time? I feel like I would like it though,
Yeah.
like the editing and all that.
It's fun. I mean, especially once you get to learn it and figure out what works. And like, I do enjoy it. I'm hoping when the winter's hits and we slow down a little bit, I can put some of this backlog content up. But see what happens.
Yeah, I'd want to like share this live scope screen and like talk about it, and that's what I get into. That's the way I like to fish. So, but I know that's not like everyone's cup of tea. So I don't know how many people would actually watch that.
I'm sure a lot of these guys would. I mean, the live.
I'm sure these guys would.
Such a polarizing topic. Like, I don't understand the giant uproar in it. It's another tool. It's side scan. Like, I've caught a lot of fish on side scan. Just they're right there, and before there's some fish there. Throw a drop shot down, play them, or whatever. It's the same.
Yeah.
I get it. It's I don't know.
I get why people like it can be a polarizing topic. Like there are days where that surprise bite, like that's like a key to fishing. Is like that surprise.
Yeah.
It's not really there when you're using live scope, but what is there is like the chase of like roaming fish. Like take Clear Lake, the WCC. Everyone's like stacked. Maybe not Clear Lake, but there's tournaments where people are like stacked on top of each other. Having live scope opens up so much more of the lake to where I don't have to hop over people to find a spot. I can just be like, you know what, I'm gonna go out in the middle and see if there's fish out there.
Yeah, I looked out. I looked out at Clear Lake where I was at. I shared it with a couple of guys, dude. I had my live scope in the water and on, just kind of looking down towards the deeper water, but I was fishing grass. I mean, I had a blast. It was so much fun doing that. When I could get away with it, I do throwing a swim jig or flipping the grass or spinner bait. Like that reaction bite's just so much fun.
Yeah, that was one of the most fun tournaments for me because I was dragging
Absolutely.
a jig on a rock and they were just smashing it. It was awesome.
Yeah, that was a good time. That lake was fishing phenomenal that weekend.
Yeah, it was unreal. That was my biggest limit was that tournament.
Yeah, you got 100 and what?
I think 101.5 on Saturday. Yeah, and then Saturday, and then Friday I lost 2 hours. I think I already said this. I lost 2 hours to my motor when I went to go plug it in. It snapped, and I'm on an autopilot, so I don't have like a pedal drive. So I got off the water. I went to Ace Hardware and I got a rope and a 20-pound weight. Went back, launched, and paddled around. And I live scoped around with friggin' paddling a giant bathtub of a kayak.
Oh, jeez.
And I made out decent on Friday, so maybe it helped me.
That's funny. That's great. I didn't realize you were paddling. That's crazy.
Yeah, paddle, and then drop that rope down, that anchor. You just feel it like thump into the ground. That was fun.
That's fun.
It wasn't fun.
You catch it? You caught them all mid-stroll on Saturday this weekend, then, right? Nothing else.
Every single one was mid-strolling. Yeah. I tried I had a flutter spoon tied on. I threw it over some larger groups of like 5 to 6 fish, and they didn't care for it at all.
I got you. Yeah, dude. I love the chase with it, man. When you're on a school of fish or whatever, you throw your bait in there, and you see that fish shoot up and react, and like halftime you're getting ready to set the hook. You're like, no, wait for the thump,
Yeah, and sometimes you don't feel it either, and you're like, wait a minute. You pull it, and they're there.
They're there. That's the fun part right there when that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like especially when I'm on a light line, light bait. You're like, do they have it? Like, I think I lost it. And you're like, yep, there they are. We got them.
Yeah, because they just like breathe it in sometimes. The larger fish will just breathe it, and you don't feel the bite at all. But yeah,
definitely happened to my daughter. She got that 5. That was awesome.
That's
so I was watching a live scope and watching the rod and watching it. I'm like, that fish has to have it. I'm like, I guarantee you it does. Addie reel. She started reeling in. I just reached over and set the hook on it.
That's cool, man.
There you go. Reel, kid, reel. That sucker came up and jumped, dude. I was like, oh my God, that's a party monster.
Oh, speaking of, I caught a 8-pound trout on live scope during that tournament, and then a 4-pound trout during the tournament. And it was big. It was bigger than the measuring board.
That's
I didn't even
crazy.
want it in the kayak because it was going to cause a big commotion. I was going to have to retie and rebend my hook back in.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was the biggest trout I ever caught. And I scoped it, and it hit that Sakamata, and it just took me for a ride. And
That's awesome.
I was like, I don't want that thing to bow. I put my pliers in the water, and I just go, and it took off. It was a beautiful fish, though.
That's the big. I've seen we caught a 8-pound German brown one time out of Tulloch.
Nice.
Biggest freaking trout of it. Oh yeah, man. We went all the way at that point. Obviously, I was younger, but we went all the way up in the boat, all the way to the feed out of Maloney's Dam, and we were just throwing brokeback Rapalas at that point because bass fishing kind of was slow that day. And the first cast, my buddy threw the brokeback Rapala right there, and just he got lit up. Yeah, big old German brown.
Nice.
8 pounds.
Yeah, I think I know where. Yeah, the dam, right, all the way back up that creek.
Yeah, all the way up there, right where there's a buoy line. You can't go any further.
Yeah,
up there.
The water's so much colder back there every time I go take a look, and it doesn't surprise me if there's a bunch of trout back there.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a lot colder, a lot cooler.
Yeah, but I will say going like head to head with Pua over this weekend was a lot of fun, because we found ourselves in a position where we were kind of battling each other to win the tournament. And props to him, because in the last half hour he posted in the messenger chat, he was saying, I tried, I give up, something like that. And I almost cracked open like a cold soda right there and just cruised on in with the last 30 minutes of the day, because I'm like, I think I got it. But he was sandbagging, and he had me. But he put on a clinic. He put on like 100 inches a day, and it was almost impossible to catch someone like that. So props to Pua for putting it down.
Well, you're both definitely.
They're on one
like
this year.
You guys are on it this year.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, it's unreal what you both have done this year.
Heck yeah.
It's been fun.
Sorry, dogs are knocking stuff over. We're gonna have to do some work this weekend to outmaster the master, I guess.
I saw your last live stream. You had the truck and keep me up all night to stifle me.
Or are you camping there?
Yeah, I am.
You're at Steel Canyon then?
Steel Canyon. Yep.
Nice. All right, I'll make sure I turn the music on really loud at your campsite then.
We'll see what
A little
happens.
sabotage.
But you predicted it in that last live stream you had, James. You're like, Tulach's going to be a bait-related deal. And I watched it today, actually. And sure enough, it was a bait-related deal on Tulach. So you called it.
I had a feeling. Definitely had a feeling. But yeah, guys, this weekend.
Where do you live, Joey? You're out in.
I'm up in Cloverdale. I'm 20 minutes from Lake Sonoma out here.
Oh, okay. Well, summertime, we're gonna have to go up there and go fish Tulloch at night.
That'd be fun.
It is. It's a blast. We'll talk later
about that for a year with me, and I still get taken up on it.
Yeah, we need to just get out there, dude. Tulloch at night it's gorgeous. It's lit up with all the houses. It's super quiet. It's you hear some parties going on and stuff from time to time, but man, I'll tell you what, the fishing at night is something else. So
I want to go trout fishing out there. Spend the whole night going trout fishing. Yeah. I didn't realize they got that big.
Oh yeah, Tulloch's got some big trout.
And they have everything too. Like you caught like a 20-inch spot, like almost an 18-inch smallie, and then obviously the largemouth. But they have everything.
Yeah, the spots are starting to make their way to Tulloch. Like they're starting to be caught a lot more now. Used to be years ago, you'd go out there, you would not even know that there would be spots out there, but they're showing up more and more in the last couple of years.
They're hard to measure too. Every single one was just did not want to be on the board. Like
Nope.
it was rough.
That's sad for the smallmouth population out there for sure.
Well, smallmouth and the largemouth, unfortunately. Yeah. So
that's like Comanche used to have smallmouth in it. Now it's spot dominated.
Mm-hmm.
So I swear, if they end up putting spots in Pardee, I'm gonna be pissed. Thank God they checked live wells before people go there. They can't transplant those stupid fish.
No, they got nice sized carp.
Yeah, no kidding.
That make you think that you're catching a freaking record smallmouth.
I want to see the record get caught out of there.
Yeah. Let's talk about this weekend coming up, guys. Johnny, I wish you could be there with us, big guy.
Yeah, I'll be there in spirit.
I'm sad that you will not be joining us. Joey, what do you think it's going to take 2 days? Berryessa right now. What do you think it'll take to win?
I'll be honest, I should be more familiar with Berryessa. I've only been there once, other
That's
than
close
this last
to you, though. You're like, what?
practice day.
How far is that from your place? Hour and a half?
Yeah.
That's about what it is.
I'm going to say it's going to take 94 and a half for 2 days to win.
A day, 94 and a half each day.
Yeah.
So it's at 188. Yeah.
But I also wouldn't know. So what do you guys think?
John?
I think you're pretty close. I was thinking probably 180 to 185, 2 days.
90 a day, just over 90 a day.
Yeah.
Shane?
I'm going to say 90 to 95 a day.
Go with 92.75 a day. I'll be in the middle for you guys. Go with that. I think somebody might crack the big bag one day, like real high 90s, and they might hit like an 88 the next day or something like that, 89 or maybe
See, that's what I like about that format.
Yeah, that's the tough thing about a 2-day tournament, and especially hats off to both of you at Tulloch. I mean, putting up big numbers both days like that. That's a lot of focus to be able to make that happen, right? And 2-day tournament, you don't win it the first day. You can lose it, but you don't win it the first day. So
did you fish the same area both days, Joey?
I did, but I committed more to one area than first day. I committed more on the second day to one specific area than on the first day. But yeah, I did.
Was that something you found late in the day on day one, or is that something
I found something late on day one.
It's not something late in the day on day one. Yeah. Okay.
Tell them the reason why.
Well, the bait fish was bigger in that area.
I got you.
And it
had the better
21 incher in that area, so that was good.
So when do we hear Joey put down the mid-stroll and picking up like the 9 or 10 inch, 11 inch glides?
I want to.
There's
been a few scenarios like Clear Lake where I've been in an area I'm getting clones 14, 15 inchers, but there's bait everywhere and there's fish everywhere. Where I'm like I think a glide would kill it right now, and I don't have enough experience to tie it on. So there's been scenarios where I'm like, I think a glide's going to work here. I just don't have it.
You know how you get experience doing it? Tie one on and go through it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's really hard when you're on fish like you are with the technique that you're so committed to. It's like super hard to put on something different and commit to it, right? Because we all want to catch fish. I mean, we don't want to burn a day of not catching fish. And even though glides, some guys, that's their confidence, but you just got to commit to it.
It's like that one day I went out with Brandon up to Clear Lake, beginning of the year. We were throwing all kinds of stuff, and the only thing that would look at or remotely bite was glide bait. So that was the first day I pretty much threw a glide all day long, and that was then I obviously tried to force the bite quite a bit since then, but I'm still learning it. It's a fun. I mean, when they eat that thing, it's great.
I will say with
From-
mid strolling, I feel like it's really good. You can get those 18, 19, 20, sometimes the 21-inch fish, but like the 22 and a half, like for example, like Boo was catching, like it's really hard to get those fish to commit to a mid stroll and to find them for one thing. So there's a lot of days like throughout this year, well, I'll fill out a limit of 19s, but I have no idea how to put a 21 or a 22 incher in the boat. And I feel like techniques like the chatterbait or a big bait, glide bait, or things I need to work on to kind of like to get that like that nail in the coffin fish in my limit. I think there's something to mid strolling. It limits you in that upper echelon of fish, I think.
I think
Yeah,
you've
the
done
bigger
pretty damn
fish,
good with
they
it so
act
far.
a little differently.
Yeah, they do.
Yep.
I mean, I've caught some big fish doing it. Don't get me wrong. Like it does catch big fish.
Yeah, I've won big
But-
fish mid strolling.
Yeah.
It happens, but I feel like as a consistency thing, like
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
There's
they're,
other
they're
baits.
more of like instead of a schooler, which a lot of times the schooling fish, they'll go in packs. Well, when they get to a certain size, they're loners. They become loners. They get
Yep.
in an area where they basically commit to, and that's their area. Some comes through, it's now become trout
I'll
dust
be right back.
or bluegill dust or whatever, you know. So they do act a little
Yeah.
differently, the bigger ones. More of a loner. But it doesn't mean that you can't catch, big fish, strolling or any other technique, by the way. There are a few
Yeah,
techniques that seem to catch the bigger ones and structure.
I feel like there's some techniques that lend themselves to getting a reaction bite near structure that's just better than a mid stroll,
Mhm.
and that unlocks that 22-inch like pool of fish. So I think
Right.
that's something I want to work on.
Another thing too is here in that fall's coming, and more fish are pulling up. So I think in the fall you have a higher, probability of catching a bigger fish just because when one gets stupid, they're all stupid and they'll eat anything. You know what I mean? They just
Yeah.
can't help themselves. So I think in the fall would probably be, the higher probability of getting a bigger fish just because of that.
Like good time to practice throwing a big glide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe you should commit to throwing it all weekend is coming up.
Yeah, right. Every
First thing you gotta
conference
have
on, right?
confidence in the bait you're throwing. That's the first thing, right?
Yeah, I won't be
Yeah,
experimenting.
don't go and
this
throw
weekend,
something you
Saturday,
don't have
Sunday.
confidence in. I throw the swim bait for stripers, and you learn real quick on the different ways of working it. A chopper, and then a glide, and how they act, and how you can make the fish react to the different actions of each one of those baits. And obviously, each one of those swim baits are somewhat different, but yet they're all pretty similar the way they work. But the two would be a chopper. What I mean, a chopper bait is a bait that goes back and forth real quick. And a glide bait would kind of glide from side to side real slow. So, there's times where they want one or the other compared, you know what I mean? The chopper bait's something kind of new in a way. For me, it's new. And, I've caught some pretty good stripers, just like burn it in and I kill it. And I start reeling real slow. And then I just like reel, and kill it. Just kind of like erratic motion. Compared to a glide, you kind of throw it out and just like reel in kind of slow and stop. Give it a quick reel. And reel
Would
in
you
real
say fall is a
slow,
good time to learn that, John? Is that the best time of year?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Just because the fish are out in deeper water, and chasing bait. I think the best time would be when the fish move up shallow in the spring.
Gotcha.
That's when you really can learn it, just because they moved up and they're kind of, getting ready to feed and stuff, and they'll hit about anything. But if you could go after some stripers with it, it helps you learn. The learning curve is a little quicker.
Learn your cadence.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good tip.
Each one's so much difference too. Don't go out and buy a whole bunch of them. Buy one chopper and one glide, and then I don't know. There's so many different ones in the market right now. It's just like, okay, let me get this one, but you could spend $600 on a chop and $600 on a glide, so there's $1,200. So it's pretty expensive. Don't go out and do that. Spend $100 each or less, or $200.
Yeah, I
less.
don't,
It
I don't
just
have the
depends
heart to
on
lose
which
something
one
that
you get.
expensive.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. Is I don't throw a lot of mono, so I've kind of threw mono with it, and I throw fluoro with it. I kind of like the fluoro better, but the mono, you could make a bad cast and not snap it off. You know what I mean? So
My problem was, dude, I lobbed that KGB out there, and dude, I smacked it straight on the seawall at Clear Lake. I was like, there, hit it, just broadside to it, just bam. I was like, ooh, got it back. I'm like, all right, it looks good. Dock piling
yeah,
with
if they're
it and everything.
carved wooden ones, yeah, they won't hurt them, but the hollow ones, it will ruin them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do those
Not
cost,
like
James?
The 9-inch
200.
Legend was like one. So I got a classic Expo over there. I think it was 160 something, 180 something.
God dang, that's expensive.
It
I
was.
hope your wife doesn't listen to this podcast.
Dude, she knows I'm an idiot when it comes to
He
buying
leans
tackle.
into the microphone and says that. I hope your wife and my wife and John's
Dude,
wife.
I'll order something like, what was it? I went to the tackle shop the other day, bought some stuff, and then I was like, oh, I need this for this weekend. So I hop on the website. I'm like, I'm gonna get. Okay, there we go. I'm like, dude, you're an idiot. What are you doing? It's an addiction, guys. And if you look at my bait wall in the shop, man, it's stupid. I'm like, I don't even know why I buy anything anymore. I probably have it buried in my shop somewhere.
Yeah,
That's because we're too lazy to go find it.
Well, there were certain things like that I wanted that last time I threw them. I guess I didn't let them dry off right. They're all full of rust and nasty looking, and I was like, ew, that don't look too good. We gotta get rid of some of those. Get some new ones coming. Well, guys, we will do service permitting, and I don't know how we're gonna figure it out what we're gonna do, but we're gonna do a show Saturday night from Berryessa with the top three. I don't know how much juice we're gonna get out of them, what we're gonna get out of them, but we're gonna do top three Saturday night, and then we've got a good show, tentative show for October 1st. You guys aren't going to want to miss. And then the week after that, we'll try to get the top three on from the TOC from BAM. I'm waiting for confirmation from one other guy for the October 1st show. I'm looking forward to that conversation. It's going to be a good one. So, Joey, thanks for coming on, bud.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Congrats,
Joey, thanks
dude.
for all
Thank
that.
you,
was
Joey. See you this weekend.
Yeah,
see you guys.
the
Good
loud
luck.
music will be coming from Joey's campground. Everybody go yell at him.
I'm
stay
gonna
away
go over and play meditation
All
music,
night
so when
long?
he sleeps at night, he oversleeps.
Dude, I'm going to
I've done that. Yeah, my alarm didn't go off a few times this year.
unplug his phone while it's charging. Sabotage the mid-stroller.
I'll be running that generator to get my batteries charged up, so I'll have to sleep through that for a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, get them all drunk.
Oh, dude, I'll bring some whiskey for you, Joey.
No, thank you.
Oh,
I'm
come
good,
on.
Nope.
Thank you.
In bed on time.
All right,
getting
give them
plenty
some
of sleep.
edibles.
On time. What is on time? When you're out camping and fishing, what is on time? Like there is.
I try to go to bed at 9.
Yeah, that doesn't happen. Come on.
No, it does. I mean, I'm laying there at 9. I don't fall
That's
asleep.
all right. You'll have a few whiskeys in you before 9.
Tulloch was actually insane. There's people fighting at like 3 in the morning. People
believe
blasting
it.
music.
Like
It's
people,
pretty crazy.
like tournament anglers fighting, or just
No,
like
there's one guy
Oh,
that
okay.
was like woke his girlfriend up to yell at her, and the family got involved. One night,
Oh,
the
yeah.
host was threatening to kick someone out. I don't get my sleep as it is, so you guys
Yeah.
don't sabotage me.
It's all right. We're there for you, buddy.
We'll see.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching. We will catch you all
Yeah,
over
thanks,
Saturday
everybody.
night.
Don't
And,
forget about the demo.
Don't
Yeah.
forget about your
Demo.
new ride. Send them at Headwaters or view the shop. Give them a call and make it happen. Spoil yourself. You deserve it.
Yes.
Hook
That's
for
right.
life.
You can't take all your money into the grave with you, so might as well spend it now, right?
Spend it on kayaks.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's my stellar tip for the day.
Okay,
All
hold
right,
on.
y'all. We'll catch
Hold on
y'all
before
later.
we go. Real
What?
quick. Hold on before we go. Okay. Who's going to win it?
I'll say
Don't
that.
point to him.
The money's on this guy.
I don't even want. I
Can I put
appreciate
my
it, but don't
finger
want
on
to
his
be
side?
either.
This guy right there. That guy right there. The beardless Santa Claus. I gotta
He's
be
just gonna
changed.
fall right
I
into
have not
that
beat him at all
mid-roll.
this year. That's my goal.
Yeah. I think with the
Dude.
weather cooling off like it is,
I may beat you in practice, but man, I'll tell you what, your tournament results kind of speak that
Oh, man.
I'm
What
not there.
tour-
I have not showed up to my tournaments this year.
Neither have I, except for one.
I'll be honest. There's a few
Yeah.
times, James, before like you ever had me on these shows where I'd pull up next to you, and you had such like big baits on that I was like, "What am I doing? Like, I need to change something up because this guy's throwing some big stuff."
I
You always
do.
have like really.
big old,
He shows up all big until he starts throwing that little 3-inch
Then he whips out
minnow.
the spinning rod. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude,
As soon as
hey,
you come around the
I-
corner, dude, you see him he'll be putting away the finesse stuff, throwing the big old 9-inch glide.
No, check it out, right? Like, there's times where I try to force some bigger stuff just because I want to, and that's what was my downfall this year. But I tell you what, man, I go to a tournament thinking I'm a heavy rods. I'm gonna catch them on the heavy rod. I'm gonna throw the jig. I'm gonna smash them on the jig. I swear to God, it's like almost every tournament, 3 or 4 casts with the jig. If they're not biting it, I turn around, grab a spinning rod. Whether it's a 2.8 on a guppy head or the stinking screwball head from Ed's Lead, which I was catching at Tulloch on. Dude, like until if I get my limit, then I'm like, all right, cool, I got a limit, and I'm gonna start head hunting. But more times than not, I have a stinking spinner rod in my hand. You guys think I'm all this big bait guy, but no.
those are all decoys in the back, by the way.
That's right.
Yeah,
All the
it's
good
all
And that's
stuff
why,
on the
decoys.
that's
bottom
why
of
I
the boat.
carry 12 rods with me, because y'all don't know what the hell I'm doing, because I'm confused. From baits this big to baits this big. Y'all figure it out, because that's the way I'm gonna roll. Right on, guys. We'll
All
catch y'all.
Oh, y'all have a good night.